How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and with a city that is now pushing past 5 million people, I'd classify it as a major metro. So unless I want to train statically at an indoor range, I need to travel outside of the city limits to incorporate movement, engage multiple targets at various distances, and really push myself to find my failure points. Now, I envy people with lots of land and their own private ranges. I don't have any way to train with live rounds without paying for an indoor range or paying for a membership to an exclusive club that has their own private range. I began driving a good distance outside the city limits to go train outdoors. When I drive up to 2 hours to my super secret favorite outdoor shooting spots, I need to bring everything with me. When I finally get there, I have to spend time setting it all up. And that's time I'd rather spend training, running drills, and shooting instead of fussing with equipment and gear. I needed range targets that could easily fit into my car because I don't own a truck, and it didn't require me to bring tools for setup and teardown, and finally would not need to be replaced after a few hundred rounds. Now, I wanted steel, but I also shoot a lot of paper, so I started looking for two different options. Today on Buy Once, Cry Once, I'm going to talk to you guys about my dog. He's jumping around in the background. No, honestly, really what I'm going to talk to you guys about is the one thing that I bring with me every single time that I go shooting outdoors. Let's talk about, on Buy Once, Cry Once today, Raven Fast Stand targets. Now, these are made by TA Targets, and they were designed by John Lovell of Warrior Poet Society, famously. If everybody brought something like this with them to the range, we'd be a lot more accepted as a shooting community, and we'd probably have a lot more places to shoot outdoors. You're probably asking yourself, okay, well, what is a Raven Fast Stand target? Well, it arrives as a flat pack AR-550 steel target system that assembles with 3 laser cut parts. There's a pair of AR-500 steel legs and an AR-550 steel strike plate that is basically the A and C zone silhouette of a USPSA target. The 3 parts mate together with slotted channels in the upper part of the legs and the lower part of the silhouette. Setup takes less than 30 seconds and requires no tools and no bolts. Kinda cool, right? TAT is really known for their target systems. You've probably seen many a YouTube channel celebrity that talks about guns using them on their channel. It's the big brown round base, 2x4, white silhouette target. This picture should probably bring it all into focus for you. If you're familiar with those, you're familiar with TA Targets. Now, if you aren't familiar with Warrior Poet Society, go ahead and check the link in the description. Now, John himself, he's an incredible instructor. He's a great storyteller, he's a well-read man of faith, and he's a former Army Ranger. And what I like to call the before times, before we had to worry about COVID and not being able to go out and get haircuts, so I apologize for my appearance. It's been nearly 6 months. We are currently on lockdown here in Arizona, and depending on when you watch this, maybe COVID's gone. But right now, it's a very real thing. So when we didn't have to worry about COVID, John would travel the world and hold training courses. He has an awesome YouTube channel. He also has a paid members-only network, which you can also check out in the link below. Raven Fast Stands were designed for easy setup and teardown, really good portability, so that when you get to the range, you're not spending all of your time setting up. John calls out 3 very specific items when he describes the Raven Fast Stand targets. Those things are portability, durability, and versatility, and I will go in depth to all 3 of those claims as we go further into this video. Before we talk about any of that, let's talk about how a product makes its way onto Buy Once, Cry Once. First off, do I get paid to do these reviews? No, never. I don't accept products for free. I don't accept products at a discount, and if a company contacts me to review their product, it's not going to end up on Cry Once, Buy Once. Now, you can definitely call my reviews biased, but you can never call them bought. That removes all of my credibility. I have to buy the product with my own income, and that's income that I don't make reviewing things on YouTube. Additionally, the product needed to be of a premium price and value in the marketplace. There can obviously be more economical options and there can be more expensive versions, but whatever it is that I'm reviewing needs to be a quality item that has features and price tags that put it well above the pack. I review products from various companies, but I do not have a relationship, a sponsorship, or a benefit from the manufacturer. The fourth criteria is that I can positively recommend these products with your money. Chances are that if it ended up on Buy Once, Cry Once, I'm endorsing it wholeheartedly. Finally, these purchases are a one-time investment, meaning that they are not consumable or replacement items. This isn't something that you need to refill or repurchase or have multiple of on hand. It should be the only one you need and the first one that you consider if it meets your needs. I pledge to show you only products that I feel are worth the asking price, including showing you how much I paid for it and how long I've been using it. I paid a total of $1,034.60 for 3 of these targets back in 2018. And in their 4 years of service, they have absorbed nearly 9,000 rifle rounds and 4,000 pistol rounds. That $1,000+ got me the following: 2 Raven Steel AR-550 targets with their paper adapters. Now these were $319.98 a piece, and of course I purchased 2 of those. I also purchased a Raven Stand Precision AR-550 target with the paper adapter, and that one cost me $369.98. Shipping was a flat rate of $24.66. Now, today, on either Warrior Poet or TA Targets, you would pay $1,173 before shipping, as they've gone up roughly $71 since I bought them 4 years ago, which isn't a big deal. The current listing on Warrior Poet Society for the Raven target is $325. If you would like the paper adapter, it is an additional $69, which I highly recommend. If you buy them at the same time as a bundle, you'll save yourself $4 and get them at $391. Now, TA Targets also lists the components for the exact same prices, except they have individual components if you were to need any replacements. Individual components would be the legs. Those are $157.50 a pair. The actual target face, which is $167.50. They list the paper adapter at $66, so if you were to buy all of them as a combo, it would come out to, you guessed it, $391. The full Raven setup on AR-550 minus the paper adapter is the exact same on Warrior Poet Society at $325. Now, I know there's a few of you out there asking yourself, but Tyler, why bring targets at all? Why can't I bring bottles and cans and dryers and microwaves and old TVs out in the middle of nowhere and shoot them full of holes? Because that's how me and my friends, that's how we release a little stress and get a little trigger time. Well, Sparky, those that decide to bring trash and toxic waste out into our ecosystem for entertainment are a fucking cancer in the shooting community. I'd prefer you stop shooting garbage because you think it's acceptable to leave behind on our public land. Now, granted, I understand that shooting in any form leaves behind traces of toxic waste because the projectile itself is made up of lead and copper. But when my friends leave our outdoor ranges, which is all on public BLM managed land here in Arizona, we only leave behind 2 things: tire tracks and fragmented projectiles. No brass and no trash. Now, you assholes that mag dump into an old computer monitor, you leave behind shotgun shells, washing machines, broken bottles, plastic tannerite containers, splintered wood, old cardboard, mattresses, propane bottles. I've already seen a few heavily trafficked areas outside of Phoenix get closed because of the growing littering problem. And as much as I hated to lose another great spot to shoot outdoors, the county made the right call by closing it down. Mark my words, we will lose access to this land if we continue to use it as a toxic waste dump. It's ugly to see, it's dangerous to be training around all that broken glass, metal, and wood, it's bad for the ecosystem, and it's a real bad look on all of us. Treating public land like a garbage disposal will lead to less freedoms, less acceptance, more finger pointing, and nowhere to train. Shooting trash is trashy. Stop doing it. I can help you be better. Shoot steel. Shoot cardboard. Take it back home with you when you're done. Save the steel and recycle the cardboard. I will say this, I always handle these targets with gloves. Due to the lead spatter, the toxicity of that, I recommend that you do the same. If you won't change your destructive ways, then I, as a defender, don't want to be associated with you, a trash murderer. Don't watch my content, stay off my channel, and give me a thumbs down on your way out. I want you to join me in educating these assholes that disrespect our land and get our privilege of being allowed to shoot outdoors revoked. So how do we do that? Well, next time you go out, bring a few trash bags with you and clean up what other people have left behind on the range. And if you happen to go to the range and you see somebody mag dumping into trash, call them out for it. Shame them. And maybe just jot down their plate number and report them for littering if they brought trash instead of targets. So if you want to quit shooting garbage, let's look at the pros and cons of getting a Raven fast stand target for you to train with. Let's look at the pros first. In no particular order, let's just call out the fact that this is a toolless setup. It gets put together in seconds. There's no parts to lose, no fasteners or hinges to replace. All parts are laser cut steel with some specific design elements. All the parts have laser cut carry handles in them. They're really easy to set up and tear down. They're really easy to reposition. They're designed to be lower to the ground. That helps prevent bullets flying over your backstop. It also gives you a lower threat focus. When you look at them head on, they're a very thin profile. It would be pretty improbable for you to hit anything but the target base. When it comes to the legs are laser cut 1/4 inch AR 500 steel with skeletonized windows to help reduce weight. The bottom of the legs have very aggressive feet so that the stands themselves can really dig into loose gravel, dirt, mud, and sand. The legs themselves have integrated carry handles and are mirror opposites of each other, so there really is no right or left leg. Now towards the top of the legs there are two different types of slots. The first slots are angled and large deep channels for the AR 550 steel target to slide into. There is also a slot in front of that that is thinner, shallower, and vertical, and those are for the optional paper adapter stands to slide into. Truly, there is no possible way for you to incorrectly set up these targets. They are literally foolproof. Now, the new design, the 2.0, has holes right next to the carry handles for large steel pins and clevises so that you can sandwich all of the assemblies together and transport them with one carry handle. Makes for really easy transport and super great storage. Now let's talk about the silhouette target face. The target face itself is 3/8 of an inch thick AR 550 steel. The Raven Steel AR 550 strike plate is 7.62 rated. Like the legs, it also has an integrated carry handle. And it mimics the A and C zones of a USPSA target. At the bottom of the silhouette, there are deep cut slots that match the angles and channels of the leg assemblies. Because the targets are low to the ground and angled, the ricochets and bullet fragments actually form a narrow band that shoots all of the fragmentation straight down at the ground, which means they can be shot at very close distances. In fact, for a pistol, you only need 10 yards of standoff, and for a rifle, you only need 25 yards of standoff. If you decide to go with the paper adapters, which I do highly recommend, you will find that those are like the legs, made out of 1/4 inch AR 500 steel. The paper adapter itself has small, thin channels that will allow it to integrate into the front part of the legs. On the back are welded in integrated tubes that accept 1 inch by 2 inch by 4 foot wood posts. The paper adapters allow the use of paper targets instead of the steel silhouette, or in addition to the steel silhouette by being in place above it. Like the other components, it packs flat to transport to and from the range and store in a nice compact space. Now let's touch on John's claims about these targets, and let's go right for the first one, portability. These targets collapse into a flat pack steel. I can put these into a mid-sized car's trunk and still have plenty of room for my range bag, my rifle case, and my gear to go on top of it all. These targets weigh 48 pounds in total. The two legs themselves weigh 24 pounds and the steel silhouette weighs an additional 24 pounds. Because they have the integrated carry handles, you can walk them out to your preferred location on the range, like the big man you are, carrying in all 9 bags of groceries from the car. These targets are only 3 feet off the ground, which means they don't take up a lot of space if you have a narrow area to shoot in. And the reduced size makes them lighter as well. Now, Raven fast stand targets are super easy to set up and tear down. When I set one up, I usually lean one leg against my body while placing the silhouette into the opposite side leg. Then I rock the entire assembly over to one side, insert the leg, spread them as wide as they can be for stability, and it's done. Additionally, there is no way to set these up improperly. Teardown is easier than setup as you pull straight up on the target face silhouette and both legs will fall flat on top of each other, making for easy transport. All you need to do is reinstall your pins and clevises and you have your suitcase style assembly. So John's claim of portability, I would give him an honest 10 out of 10. Now let's look at John's second claim of durability. My Raven fast stands have seen some rounds. I've probably fired 9,000 5.56 and about 4,000 9mm onto steel and paper alike. I've fired 7.62 rounds at it in under 15 yards. But don't tell anybody because the target face itself has no deformation and no damage. Now, I have missed enough shots for my paper adapters to have some holes in them, but I finally shot it up enough that I had to end up replacing one since it broke.
Did we break the steel?
Yep.
Oh no, we shot it off.
Yep, we're
No,
good.
it looks like this one came off.
No, we shot it off.
Oh shit, you're right. Oh shit, you're right.
These things take a beating and just keep on trucking. In fact, my friends and I recently shot it up so bad one of the legs came unseated and it rolled down a rock quarry face, and we had it up and running again in 1 minute. Now, that said, I do have a version that is no longer made by Warrior Poet Society called the Precision Target. The difference between a Raven fast stand target and a Raven precision target is the precision target is a little bit bigger, not encompassing just the A and C zones, and it has 2 6-inch swinging steel plates. There is a top left plate and a bottom right plate. I like to use them as hostage style targets. They are super fun to shoot. They react with each hit swinging in and out. They were once bright red when they were delivered, and they are easily my favorite target to shoot. Now, because it's my favorite one, it saddens me to say that on my very first 20 rounds of steel shooting, literally out of the box, that precision target failed on me. In fact, the weld broke off the back side that holds one of the 6-inch plates, and it no longer held into the target. Now, to Warrior Poet and TA Target Systems' credit, they did replace it the very next day. In fact, they shipped it out the very next day and told me to keep the old one and recycle it if I no longer had use for it. So, huge thumbs up to their customer service. In those last 4 years that I've been using the replacement precision target, it's held up unbelievably well. Again, thousands of rounds through it without a single hiccup. That is until me and my friends shot it up and broke that exact same weld in the exact same spot. Now, the way that AR-550 steel is, because it's an incredibly hard steel, it's super duper difficult to weld. To get enough heat into the actual target and meld that little bracket into the back is near impossible. So I'm not going to fault TA Targets for that design flaw, and I understand that's probably why they no longer make it. That said, I am actually still going to have mine repaired locally at a welding shop because the bracket is in perfect condition and I would love to continue using it. Now, the way that you can use the paper and the steel at the exact same time will cause some damage to your 1-inch by 2-inch posts. This is because when you shoot the steel, it is directly in line with the fragmentation path, which will cause your wood to get splintered. Eventually, they will crack and fail, and you will need to replace them. Now, those two minor issues aside, I would argue that these are easily the most robust steel targets of all time. So John's durability claim, yeah, it gets a 10 out of 10. So let's talk about the last one, versatility. I have used these Raven fast stand targets to train over the last 3+ years. During that time, I was trying as many different positions, configurations, and dual uses as I could. Some days I just wanted to shoot paper and track my accuracy. And some days I wanted that little hit of dopamine when I got hits on steel. There is nothing quite as satisfying as shooting steel and getting that instant feedback and that little bing of dopamine. Boom, pow! I love it. I can't get enough of it, honestly. It's really addictive. But you guys probably know the saying of steel makes you fast, but paper keeps you honest. Well, it does. Now, some days I wanted 6 targets instead of 3, so I'd set my paper adapters up over the steel and I'd switch between them as I saw fit. I can reposition the distance, the location, and the type of target that I want to shoot at during my range days. So all I need to do is just pick them up and move them, and then I've opened up all new training options for myself. These stands, they stay put. Not like some of the other ones that I've shot that hang off of a chain. As long as I can accurately hit my target, these Raven fast stands will absorb round after round after round with no cooldown or reset time. It wasn't really the case when I would shoot at steel targets hanging from chains. Every time I'd pop one, they'd kind of wobble back and forth and have to settle before I could give them another ding, or I'd miss my shot. On super windy days, which I've actually had wind so bad it completely blew over my tripod and camera, the weight of the legs held the paper target adapters in a really stable position, so I didn't have to bolster them with additional gear or sandbags or rocks. So are they versatile? Well, yeah, 10 out of 10. Now let's go over the cons, because there's always cons, right? This is no exception, although it did take me quite a bit longer to think of enough cons to make a list. So the first con for me is really not that big of a deal. It will tear up the wood if you use the paper adapters with the steel targets. Now, if you're not a very good shot like myself, your paper target adapters will get some holes in it. Quite a few of them, in fact. You might have to replace one like I have finally had to after 4 years. With the new design and the pins and the clevises, you might have the problem of losing them if you're out in the field. And the really big con about these targets is you really truly need more than one if you're going to do any sort of drills. And they're expensive. So having to buy 2 kind of puts it out of a lot of people's price range. If you decided to purchase the paper adapter, you will need to get some additional parts. Some 1" by 2" by 8" wood boards, which I got at Home Depot for $1.54 per board. The 6 boards that I bought, I'm still working through my extras after 4 years. So while you'll have to replace them, you don't have to replace them all that often. Last thing you will need for your paper stands besides the wood post is some cardboard targets. I use the USPSA targets and I got mine from Midway USA. They come in boxes of 25, and to save on shipping, I decided to buy 4 boxes at once. An additional purchase I made at that time, which isn't necessary, but when you're training with multiple people, is some brown and white sticker patches to go over the cardboard holes you've already shot. The targets are brown on one side and white on the other. So what do I think of Raven fast stand targets overall? Well, I feel like having professional grade targets to train with has really helped me and my skill level over the last 3 years. I can set these up quick, I can get to the range quickly, and they take up little to no room in my car. Same in my garage, actually. Now as these wear, you can spray paint them any multitude of colors so that you can track your hits and make them look all brand new again. They'll pretty much last forever. So pick up a pair, or a trio. I'm actually looking at 3 more myself. So would I recommend Raven fast stand targets to the outdoor range guy? Well, if you have the cash to spend, these are the final solution for your range target needs. And to that I say, yeah, buy once, cry once. As always, I really appreciate when you guys watch my content. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, a thumbs down if you didn't. Like, subscribe, notification bell, all that kind of fun stuff if you enjoy what you're seeing on the channel. And as always, I will see you guys next time. Take care.